The strange ship appeared on Earth's long-range sensors at 0400 hours. It moved with purpose, following a direct path toward the inner solar system. Captain William Harris of the Earth Defense Fleet vessel Vigilant watched the unknown craft's approach from his command chair. "Any response to our hails?" he asked his communications officer. "None, sir," said Lieutenant Diane Foster. "They're receiving but not answering." William nodded. This was the moment Earth had been preparing for over the last 30 years. Ever since scientists at the Johnson Space Center had discovered an alien probe watching Earth, humanity had known they weren't alone. Instead of announcing this to the world, the major powers had come together in secret, pooling resources to prepare for this inevitable day. "Intercept course," William ordered. "Maintain defensive posture but do not power weapons unless I give the command." The Vigilant moved smoothly to meet the alien craft near the orbit of Jupiter. The alien ship was elegant and clearly built for speed, with sweeping lines and a polished surface that reflected the distant sun. It was 3 times the size of the Vigilant. "Sir, they're finally responding," said Diane. A screen on the bridge lit up, showing a tall humanoid figure with pale blue skin and large dark eyes. The alien wore what appeared to be a formal uniform with many decorations. "This is Ambassador Krelth of the Galactic Empire," the alien said in perfect English. "Your primitive vessel is blocking our path to your homeworld. Move aside immediately." William remained calm. "This is Captain William Harris of the Earth Defense Fleet. Your vessel has entered restricted space without permission. State your purpose." The alien's eyes widened slightly. "You have spacefaring capabilities beyond what our records indicate. Interesting but irrelevant. We are here to inform your leaders that Earth has been designated for integration into the Galactic Empire as a resource extraction colony. This is a great honor. You will provide us with an escort to your government." William's face remained neutral despite the anger building inside him. "Ambassador, I will relay your message to my superiors. Please hold your position." The alien made a dismissive gesture. "Do not delay us, human." William muted the communication and contacted Earth. Within the underground command center beneath Washington, D.C., Admiral Susan Morgan briefed President Nancy Campbell on the situation. Large screens showed the alien ship and a transcript of the conversation. "Madam President, this confirms our intelligence," Susan said. "The Galactic Empire is exactly what our deep space probes reported, a colonizing power that strips worlds of resources." President Campbell, a former Air Force pilot with gray hair and sharp eyes, studied the images. "And our capabilities? Our ships match or exceed their technology in most areas," Susan replied. "We've been watching them for decades while they thought we were still limited to chemical rockets. Our stealth satellites throughout their territory have given us a complete picture of their military capabilities." "And they have no idea," said the president. "None. They classify Earth as a pre-spaceflight civilization, valuable only for resources." The president stood straighter. "Then it's time to correct their misunderstanding. Admiral, implement Operation Boundary." Back at the Jupiter intercept point, Captain Harris received new orders. He reopened the channel to the Imperial vessel. "Ambassador Krelth, I have a message from Earth's leadership." The alien looked bored. "Proceed." "Earth is aware of the Galactic Empire's practices. We have observed the subjugation of the Proxima Centauri colonies, the mining operations that destroyed the ecosystems of 7 worlds in the Sirius sector, and the forced labor camps on the moons of Epsilon Eridani." Krelth's expression changed from boredom to shock. "Impossible. Your species lacks interstellar capabilities." William smiled slightly. "That's what we wanted you to believe. Earth has chosen to develop in secret while studying the galaxy. We know exactly what becoming an Imperial resource colony means." "This is not a negotiation," Krelth said, voice rising. "The Empire claims Earth by right of discovery." "Actually, Ambassador, Earth claims Earth by right of being our home." William pressed a button on his command console. "Please observe." A soft hum filled the bridge as hidden satellites throughout the solar system activated. A network of energy fields appeared, visible as faint blue lines connecting dozens of points from beyond Pluto to Mercury's orbit. On the Imperial ship, systems began to flicker. Their engines powered down automatically. Life support remained functional, but weapons, communications, and propulsion were disabled. "What is happening?" demanded Krelth. "A demonstration," William explained calmly. "Our defensive grid can selectively disable any technology we choose. Your ship is now unable to move or fight, but your people are safe." Through the still open channel, William could see Imperial crew members rushing around in panic. Krelth was shouting orders that couldn't be followed. "This is an act of war," the ambassador finally sputtered. "No," William replied. "This is an act of self-determination. Your systems will be returned to you shortly, but first Admiral Susan Morgan would like to deliver Earth's official response." The screen split, and Admiral Morgan appeared. Her uniform was crisp, her expression stern. "Ambassador Krelth, I am Admiral Susan Morgan of the Earth Defense Fleet. The sovereign nations of Earth have unanimously agreed to the following declaration. Earth and the entire Sol system are independent territory, not subject to Imperial authority or claims. No Galactic Empire ships are allowed in our system without explicit permission. This is not negotiable." Krelth had regained some composure. "The Empire controls 10,000 worlds, Admiral. You cannot stand against such power." "We're not interested in standing against anyone," Susan replied. "We simply wish to be left alone. But make no mistake, we will defend ourselves if necessary. Your systems will be restored in 30 seconds, after which you will have 6 hours to leave our solar system. Any Imperial vessel entering our space after that time will be considered hostile." "The Emperor will not accept this," Krelth warned. "That is the Emperor's choice," said Susan. "But perhaps he should know that we have deployed similar defense systems around several other worlds that were on your colonization list. They too have chosen independence. As promised, the Imperial ship's systems came back online." Krelth stared at the humans with new understanding and, perhaps, a touch of fear. "This isn't over," he said. "For today it is," replied William. "Safe journey back to Imperial space, Ambassador." As the Imperial ship turned and accelerated away from Earth, William Harris looked out at the stars. Humanity had just announced itself to the galaxy, not as another conquest, but as a force to be reckoned with. What happened next would depend on the Empire's response, but Earth would be ready. The game had changed and humanity had made the first move. News of Earth's defiance spread quickly through the Galactic Empire. On the Imperial capital world of Zalthoria, Emperor Zaltharian received the report with cold fury. His throne room fell silent as he read the details of Ambassador Krelth's failed mission. "They disabled our ship?" the Emperor asked, his voice dangerously quiet. "A primitive world that only achieved spaceflight recently?" Ambassador Krelth kept his head bowed. "Yes, Your Majesty. They have been hiding their true capabilities. They claim to have been studying us for decades." The Emperor rose from his golden throne. He was tall even for his species, with deep blue skin and eyes that seemed to hold stars within them. His robes shimmered with precious metals unknown to Earth. "No world defies the Empire," he said. "Especially not a resource-rich planet we have already claimed. Summon Fleet Commander Vordak." Within an hour, Commander Vordak knelt before the Emperor. He was a hardened military leader with numerous victories to his name, his face marked with the ritual scars of Imperial battle honors. "You will take the 7th Battle Group to Earth," ordered the Emperor. "Show these humans the price of defiance, disable their defenses, establish orbital control, and prepare the planet for resource extraction." Vordak smiled. "It will be my pleasure, Your Majesty. How many ships should I take?" 5 should be sufficient for such a primitive world," the Emperor replied. "We don't want to deplete our forces elsewhere. These humans may have surprised Krelth, but they cannot stand against a proper Imperial battle group." Vordak bowed. "We depart immediately. Earth will be yours within the week." Back on Earth, the United Nations Security Council met in emergency session. Representatives from all nations gathered to discuss the inevitable Imperial response. The room buzzed with tension as Admiral Susan Morgan delivered her assessment. "The Empire won't take our declaration lightly," she told the assembled leaders. "Based on our intelligence, we expect a military response within days." President Nancy Campbell nodded. Are our defenses ready? General Jack Winters stood up. He was a solid man with graying hair and steady hands that had seen combat on Earth before joining the Space Defense Program. The shield network is at full capacity, he reported. Our fleet is on high alert and we've deployed early warning satellites beyond Pluto's orbit. Nothing will enter our system without us knowing. What about the new weapons system? Asked. The Russian president, Dr. Alice Bennett, head of Earth's Advanced Defense Research, spoke up. The gravitational disruption system is ready for deployment. It's been tested successfully against unmanned drones with Imperial equivalent technology. President Campbell looked around the room. We have prepared for this moment for 30 years. Every nation on Earth has contributed resources, scientists, and soldiers to this cause. Today we stand not as separate countries but as one planet against those who would exploit us. The Chinese president nodded. The old rivalries seem so small now. We face a common threat. Then we are agreed, said Campbell. Operation Shield. Wall is now active. All Earth Defense Fleet vessels will deploy to their assigned positions. 5 days later, Earth's early warning system detected 5 large ships entering the outer solar system. They moved in perfect formation, their energy signatures matching known Imperial battle cruisers. In the command center beneath Washington, D.C., Admiral Morgan watched the incoming vessels on the main screen. They sent exactly what we expected, she said. A standard subjugation force. President Campbell stood beside her. Deploy the Defender as planned. Captain Olivia Reed sat in the command chair of the Earth Defense Fleet's flagship, the Defender. It was the largest and most advanced ship humanity had ever built, though it appeared modest from the outside. The ship waited alone at the orbit of Mars, directly in the path of the approaching Imperial fleet. All systems ready, Captain, reported her first officer, Commander Ryan Bell. All crew to battle stations, Olivia ordered. But remember, shields, only until we receive authentication to engage. The Imperial fleet slowed as they approached Mars, clearly surprised to find only a single Earth vessel in their path. Open a channel, Olivia said. The main screen lit up to show Commander Vordak. He looked at Olivia with open contempt. I am Fleet Commander Vordak of the Galactic Empire. Your planet has committed acts of aggression against Imperial representatives. Surrender your vessel and prepare your world for Imperial occupation. Olivia met his gaze calmly. This is Captain Olivia Reed of the Earth Defense Fleet vessel Defender. By order of the United Nations of Earth, I am instructed to inform you that you have entered restricted space. The Sol system is sovereign territory. No Galactic Empire ships are allowed here. You have 1 hour to turn around and leave. Vordak laughed. You send 1 ship against 5 Imperial battle cruisers? Your arrogance is amusing. Perhaps we will keep you as a trophy after we crush your pathetic defenses. This is your only warning, Olivia replied. Earth has declared its independence. 1 hour, Commander. Vordak cut the communication channel. On his command ship, he turned to his weapons officer. Target their vessel and fire when ready. Let's not waste time with these primitives. The Imperial ships moved into attack formation, energy weapons, charged, glowing with deadly power. When they fired, 5 powerful beams converged on the Defender. But something impossible happened. The beams bent around the Earthship, as if space itself was distorting. Not a single shot made contact. What happened? Demanded Vordak. Fire again. The second volley had the same result. Then the Defender began to move, accelerating to speeds the Imperials had not thought possible for Earth technology. Aboard the Defender, Olivia gave the order. They've had their warning. Activate gravitational disruptors. Invisible waves of energy pulsed from the Earthship. On the Imperial vessels, systems began to fail. Artificial gravity reversed, sending crew members floating to the ceilings. Weapons went offline. Engines shut down. Within minutes, all 5 Imperial battle cruisers were drifting helplessly in space, their crews struggling to understand what had happened to them. Olivia opened a channel to the Imperial flagship. Commander Vordak, your vessels have been disabled. Your life support systems remain functional, but your weapons, engines, and communications are offline. Earth does not wish to cause casualties, so we will provide escort as your ships are towed out of our solar system. Vordak's face was contorted with rage and disbelief. This is impossible. How did you— We've been watching the Empire for decades, Olivia explained. Learning. Preparing. Your technology isn't as mysterious to us as you thought. As Earth, vessels emerged from hiding to secure the disabled Imperial ships. Admiral Morgan sent a message to all Earth defense forces. Phase 1 complete. Prepare for diplomatic engagement. The real test was just beginning. Earth had shown it could defend itself, but now came the harder part, convincing the Galactic Empire that humanity deserved its freedom. Word of the Imperial fleet's defeat reached Emperor Zaltharian within hours. The great ruler of 10,000 worlds sat motionless on his throne as advisors delivered the news. His inner circle watched nervously, knowing his legendary temper. 5 battle cruisers, the Emperor said finally. 5 of our finest ships disabled by a single Earth vessel. High Admiral Zorvan stepped forward. Your Majesty, our initial assessment of Earth was clearly wrong. They have technology we did not expect. Commander Vordak reports something we've never seen before. Gravitational weapons that shut down our systems without causing physical damage. The Emperor's eyes narrowed. I want a full Imperial delegation prepared. My personal flagship will lead it. The advisors exchanged shocked glances. The Emperor rarely left the capital. Your Majesty, ventured his chief diplomat. Perhaps a more cautious approach. These humans have my attention, interrupted the Emperor. They claim to have been watching us for decades. I want to see these creatures myself. Prepare for departure. In 2 days. On Earth, the captured Imperial ships were positioned in high orbit. Their crews remained aboard but under guard. Earth's leaders gathered at the United Nations to decide the next steps. The Emperor himself is coming, Admiral Susan Morgan informed the Security Council. Our intelligence network confirms his flagship is being prepared. President Nancy Campbell nodded. Then our demonstration worked. We need to prepare for negotiations. Or for a larger attack, said General Jack Winters. This could be a trap. Dr. Alice Bennett shook her head. Our sensors would detect a large fleet gathering. So far, we're only seeing diplomatic vessels being readied. Either way, said President Campbell, we need our best diplomat leading these talks. She turned to a quiet man seated at the end of the table. Frank Wilson, you've spent 20 years studying Imperial culture and language. Will you lead our delegation? Frank nodded solemnly. He was not a flashy man with his plain suits and calm manner, but he had a brilliant mind for diplomatic nuance. I'll need Dr. Bennett on my team, he said. And Admiral Morgan. The Emperor must understand both our technological capabilities and our resolve. 2 weeks later, a space station was positioned between Mars and Jupiter. Built specifically for these talks, it featured both human and Imperial environments. Earth and Imperial security teams worked together, watching each other with cautious respect. Frank Wilson stood at the viewing window, watching as the Emperor's massive flagship approached. It dwarfed all other ships nearby, gleaming with golden accents against the blackness of space. Impressive, remarked Admiral Morgan standing beside him. Designed to be, Frank replied. Everything the Empire does is meant to intimidate. Today we must refuse to be intimidated. The Emperor's arrival was a spectacle of Imperial power. Guards in ceremonial armor lined the corridors. Musicians played Imperial anthems. Zaltharian himself wore robes embedded with rare minerals that changed color with his movements. The human delegation waited in the central meeting chamber. President Campbell had remained on Earth, giving Frank full authority to speak for humanity. When the Emperor entered, Frank stepped forward and bowed slightly, enough to show respect, but not submission. Emperor Zaltharian, Earth welcomes you. To neutral space, I am Frank Wilson, Chief Diplomat of the United Nations of Earth. The Emperor studied Frank with interest. You speak our formal language well, human. We believe understanding precedes cooperation, Frank replied. The Emperor took his seat at the large round table. His advisors and military commanders arranged themselves behind him. "Let us speak directly," said Zaltharian. "Earth has demonstrated unexpected capabilities. We are willing to offer special status within the Empire, self-governance with reasonable resource quotas." Frank smiled politely. "Thank you for your offer, Your Majesty. However, Earth is not seeking membership in the Empire under any terms. We are here to establish peaceful relations between independent powers." The Emperor's eyes hardened. The Empire has ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years. Planets do not simply opt out. Frank gestured to Dr. Bennett, who activated a holographic display. It showed dozens of Imperial worlds and bases, with detailed information about each. "For 30 years, Earth has been studying the Empire," Frank explained. "These are images from our stealth probes. We've documented Imperial mining practices on these worlds." The display shifted to show planets stripped of resources. Their environments collapsed. "We've observed labor conditions on these colony worlds." More images appeared showing Imperial work camps. The Emperor's advisors whispered urgently to each other, clearly shocked by the extent of Earth's intelligence network. "You've been spying on the Empire," accused the Emperor. "We've been learning about our galactic neighbors," corrected Frank, "just as you've been observing Earth. The difference is we saw enough to know we want no part of Imperial control." Admiral Morgan stepped forward. "Your Majesty, Earth does not seek conflict. We only wish to determine our own future. We propose a simple arrangement. Earth and the Sol system remain independent territory with a buffer zone extending beyond Pluto. No Imperial ships enter this zone without permission." The Emperor laughed coldly. "And if I refuse these terms? If I bring the full might of the Imperial fleet against your world?" Frank remained calm. "We would defend ourselves, Your Majesty, just as we did against Commander Vordak's ships, but on a much larger scale." Dr. Bennett pressed another control. Immediately, systems throughout the Emperor's flagship flickered briefly. "That was a small demonstration," she explained. "Our defense grid extends throughout the solar system. We can disable any Imperial ship that enters our space. We don't want to use this technology, but we will if necessary." The Emperor stood abruptly. "This is outrageous. You dare threaten me?" "Not a threat," Frank said calmly. "Simply information you should have before making your decision. Earth wants peaceful relations with the Empire, trade, cultural exchange, all the benefits of diplomatic ties between independent powers. The alternative," added Admiral Morgan, "is that we continue to share our defensive technology with other worlds that wish to remain outside Imperial control." A heavy silence fell over the room. The Emperor stared at the humans, calculating. Frank met his gaze steadily. "You would start a rebellion across the galaxy," the Emperor said finally. "We would support the right of all worlds to self-determination," Frank corrected. "The choice is yours, whether that happens through conflict or cooperation." The Emperor turned to his advisors, speaking rapidly in their native language. After several minutes of intense discussion, he faced the humans again. "I will consider Earth's proposal, but know this, the Empire does not surrender what it claims. This matter is not settled." As the Imperial delegation departed, Admiral Morgan turned to Frank. "Do you think he'll attack?" Frank watched the Emperor's retreating form. "He's too smart for that. He knows we're prepared. But this is just the beginning of a very long game." Back on his flagship, Emperor Zaltharian summoned his war council. "These humans are more dangerous than we thought," he told them. "Not because of their weapons, but because of their ideas. If other worlds believe they can defy us..." He paused, looking out at the stars. "Prepare contingency plans. The Empire may face its greatest challenge yet." News of Earth's stand against the Empire spread through the galaxy despite Imperial efforts to control information. On distant worlds, beings gathered in secret to whisper about the small blue planet that had defied the Emperor himself. Imperial. Officials dismissed the rumors as exaggerations, but the story continued to spread. On the water world of Aquarius Prime, Ambassador Lyria of the Arcturian Republic listened carefully to reports from her intelligence network. The Arcturians had once been a proud and independent people, before the Empire reduced them to a vassal state. Now they provided resources and soldiers to the Empire, while their own culture slowly faded. "Is it true?" she asked her aide. "Has Earth truly developed technology that can disable Imperial ships?" "Our sources confirm it," the aide replied. "And they've been gathering intelligence on the Empire for decades. They have extensive files on Imperial operations throughout the galaxy." Lyria made a decision. "Prepare a secure channel to Earth. Use the diplomatic emergency protocols so the Empire won't detect it." Back on Earth, preparations continued for possible conflict. Captain William Harris led a mission to Jupiter, where Earth was establishing defensive outposts on several moons. "The outer shield generators need to be in place within 2 weeks," he told his team as they landed on Ganymede, Jupiter's largest moon. "If the Empire decides to attack in force, we need early warning and the ability to disable their ships before they reach Earth." "Do you think they'll attack, Captain?" asked Lieutenant Diane Foster as they unloaded equipment. William looked up at Jupiter, filling half the sky. The Emperor didn't become ruler of 10,000 worlds by backing down from challenges, but he's also not a fool. He knows we can hurt him. The question is whether his pride will outweigh his common sense. In Washington, Admiral Susan Morgan received an urgent message. "Madam Admiral, we're picking up a communication request on a frequency we haven't seen before. It's using encryption similar to Imperial diplomatic channels but with modifications. Could it be a trap?" Susan asked. "Possibly," replied the communications officer. "But our analysis suggests it's coming from the Arcturian sector." Susan thought for a moment. "Route it to the secure communication room. Alert President Campbell and Frank Wilson." Minutes later, they watched as Ambassador Lyria's image appeared on the screen. The Arcturian had pale green skin and large eyes adapted for the dim light of her homeworld. "I am Ambassador Lyria of the Arcturian Republic," she began, "or what remains of it. I contact you at great risk. If the Empire discovers this communication, it would mean severe punishment for my world." "We appreciate the risk you're taking," President Campbell replied. "Why have you reached out to us?" "Word of your defiance has reached even the most controlled sectors of the Empire," Lyria explained. "Many worlds watch with great interest, some with hope. The Arcturian Republic was once a free and prosperous civilization before the Empire came. We wish to be free again." Frank Wilson leaned forward. "Ambassador, are you proposing an alliance?" "Not yet," Lyria said cautiously. "That would be too dangerous at this stage. But we can share information. The Empire is planning something. There are unusual troop movements, ships being reassigned from their normal patrols." "An attack on Earth?" asked Admiral Morgan. "Perhaps," Lyria replied. "But my sources indicate something less direct. The Emperor is clever. He may seek to damage Earth, without appearing to do so." After the communication ended, Earth's leaders discussed this new development. "If other worlds are watching us," said Frank, "our actions now could have galaxy-wide implications." President Campbell nodded. "We need to be ready for anything. Double the patrols at the edge of our system." In a remote sector of space far from Imperial monitoring, Commander Vordak met with a group of mercenaries and pirates. His humiliating defeat at Earth had left him desperate to restore his honor. "The payment will be transferred once the mission is complete," he told the assembled captains. "The target is Earth's defense network, specifically these relay stations." He displayed a map showing key points in Earth's outer system. "These are the weak points?" asked one of the mercenary leaders, a scarred alien named Krax. "Yes," Vordak confirmed. "Disable these, and their defense grid will have gaps we can exploit. The Emperor has officially ordered diplomatic approaches, but he will reward success, regardless of methods." "And if we're caught?" Krax pressed. "The Empire will deny all knowledge of this operation. You're on your own. That's why the payment is so generous." As the mercenary fleet prepared to depart, Vordak returned to his personal ship. What he didn't know was that one of the mercenary captains had already sent a message to an Arcturian contact, who relayed it to Ambassador Lyria, who then warned Earth. Earth's early warning system detected the approaching mercenary fleet as it entered the outer solar system. The ships used stealth technology, but Earth's sensors were specifically designed to detect Imperial cloaking methods. In the command center, Admiral Morgan reviewed the tactical display. 27 ships, various designs. Definitely not a regular Imperial force. Heading straight for our relay stations on Neptune's moons, noted General Winters. Exactly as the Arcturian intelligence indicated. Captain Reed is already in position with the 2nd Squadron, Admiral Morgan said. Time to spring our trap. The mercenary fleet approached Neptune, confident in their stealth systems. They didn't realize they had been detected until Earth's ships suddenly appeared all around them, having hidden in Neptune's rings. Captain Olivia Reed opened a channel from her ship. Attention unauthorized vessels. You have entered Earth restricted space. Power down your weapons and engines immediately. On his ship, Krax cursed. How did they find us? The Imperial stealth systems should have kept us hidden until we were in firing range. No time for questions, replied his lieutenant. We're being paid to fight, so let's fight. The mercenary ships opened fire, but Earth's vessels were ready. Their advanced shields absorbed the attacks while their gravitational weapons systematically disabled the mercenary ships one by one. What followed wasn't a battle, but a demonstration. The Earth Defense Fleet moved with precision, their coordination perfect. Within 20 minutes, all 27 mercenary ships were disabled, drifting powerless in space. Captain Reed opened another channel. Your ships are disabled. Your life support systems remain functional. We will now board your vessels. Any resistance will be met with appropriate force. As Earth troops secured the mercenary ships, they gathered evidence, communication logs, payment records, and direct orders linking the operation to Commander Vordak. Admiral Morgan reviewed the evidence with President Campbell. This is exactly what we need. Proof of an Imperial officer ordering an attack on Earth despite official diplomatic channels. Broadcast it throughout the galaxy, ordered the President. Every world should see that the Empire cannot be trusted. Within days, the evidence was transmitted across thousands of worlds using Earth's stealth network. The Empire tried to block the transmissions, but they couldn't stop them all. In his throne room, Emperor Zaltharian received the news with cold fury. Vordak has failed and exposed us. Worse, these humans have made us look weak. His chief advisor stepped forward cautiously. Your Majesty, perhaps it's time to consider a different approach with Earth. More worlds are watching now. Some are already reaching out to the humans. The Emperor stared at the galactic map on his wall. Small lights indicated worlds where unrest was growing. The game has changed, he said finally. These humans are more dangerous than I thought. 6 months passed since Earth first declared its independence from the Galactic Empire. Changes swept through the galaxy like ripples in a pond. On worlds far from Earth, people whispered about freedom and self-rule. The Empire increased its military presence on dozens of planets to prevent uprisings. In the Grand Imperial Palace, Emperor Zaltharian met with his closest advisors. The mood was grim. The situation grows worse, reported High Admiral Zorvan. 7 more worlds have requested reduced Imperial presence. 3 mining colonies have stopped shipments entirely. They claim they're inspired by Earth's example. The Emperor's face remained calm, but his eyes flashed with anger. And our military options? The military advisor hesitated. Limited, Your Majesty. Earth continues to strengthen its defenses. They've established a full shield network throughout their system, and they've been sharing their technology. With whom? Demanded the Emperor. The Arcturian Republic has received defensive systems. So have the Proxima Centauri colonies and the Sirius Confederation, all former Imperial territories. The Emperor was silent for a long moment. These humans leave us little choice. Prepare the diplomatic fleet. It seems we must negotiate. On Earth, President Nancy Campbell addressed the United Nations General Assembly. Representatives from every nation filled the hall. 6 months ago, we stood alone against the Galactic Empire, she said. Today, we stand with allies across the stars. Our declaration that no Imperial ships are allowed in Earth space has become something greater, a declaration that all worlds have the right to determine their own future. The assembly erupted in applause. We have received a formal request from the Empire for new negotiations, Campbell continued when the room quieted. They wish to establish diplomatic relations with Earth as an independent power. This is a victory, but our work is just beginning. Later that day, Admiral Susan Morgan met with Frank Wilson and Dr. Alice Bennett in the Pentagon's secure conference room. The Emperor is coming to terms with reality, Frank said. He knows he can't defeat our defense systems without massive losses. And every day more worlds learn about our technology. Can we trust him? Asked Susan. No, Frank replied simply. But we can trust his self-interest. The Empire is built on the belief that resistance is futile. We've shattered that belief. Now he must adapt or watch his empire crumble world by world. Dr. Bennett pulled up a holographic display showing a document. This is our proposal, the Soul Accord. It recognizes Earth's independence and establishes a demilitarized zone around our system. More importantly, it supports the right of any world to declare independence if a majority of its people desire it. He'll never agree to that last part, Susan said. He might, Frank replied, if the alternative is worse. 2 weeks later, a grand diplomatic meeting took place in Geneva. Earth played host to representatives from 30 different worlds, including the Empire. The Imperial delegation, led by a new ambassador named Trelxor, watched with concern as Earth's leaders welcomed delegations from former Imperial territories. Ambassador Lyria of the Arcturian Republic embraced President Campbell warmly before the cameras. Earth has given us hope again, she said. For the first time in generations, Arcturians look to the future with optimism. The negotiations lasted for days. Earth insisted on one key point above all others, the right of worlds to self-determination. The Empire resisted fiercely. On the 5th day, Frank Wilson met privately with Ambassador Trelxor. Your Emperor sent you to avoid catastrophe, Frank said bluntly. Let me be clear about what that catastrophe would be. We have the capability to share our defensive technology with every world in the Empire. Many have already requested it. The Emperor will never allow the Empire to be dismantled, Trelxor insisted. We're not asking for dismantling, Frank replied. We're asking for transformation. The Empire could become a cooperative alliance of willing worlds rather than an imposed system of control. Your Emperor could be remembered as a great reformer, rather than the ruler who lost everything. After 10 days of intense negotiations, the Sol Accord was signed. Earth gained formal recognition as an independent territory. A demilitarized zone was established around the solar system. Most importantly, a process was created for worlds to seek independence through peaceful means. The Empire had compromised to survive. Earth had stood firm to protect not just humanity, but all sentient beings who wished for freedom. 1 month after the signing, Captain William Harris commanded Earth's first official diplomatic mission beyond the solar system. His ship, the Unity, carried representatives to 12 worlds that had requested Earth's defensive technology and diplomatic support. As they approached the Arcturian homeworld, William stood on the bridge with Ambassador Lyria, who had traveled with them from Earth. It's beautiful, he said, looking at the blue-green planet below. It is, Lyria agreed. For the first time in my life, it truly feels like home again. The Imperial governors left last week. We're rebuilding our own government now. Was it worth the risk? William asked. Contacting us, defying the Empire? Lyria smiled. Ask my people, they're celebrating in the streets. When you declared no Galactic Empire ships allowed, you spoke for countless worlds that had lost their voice. On the anniversary of Earth's declaration, delegations from 27 formerly subjugated worlds gathered in Geneva to sign the Galactic Charter of Independent Worlds. President Campbell stood before the assembly to address not just Earth, but representatives from across the stars. 1 year ago, Earth stood alone. We had one simple message. We choose our own path. Today, that message has spread across the galaxy. Earth doesn't seek to build an empire. We seek to build a community where all worlds determine their own future. where cooperation replaces control, where diversity is celebrated rather than suppressed. The applause was thunderous. After the ceremony, Captain Harris prepared the Unity for its next mission, exploring beyond Imperial space where no human had gone before. As the ship moved away from Earth, he received an unexpected communication request. On the screen appeared a being unlike any he had seen before, tall, with crystalline features that caught the light. "Greetings, Earth vessel," the being said. "We have heard of your world from travelers, the planet that defied an empire. We come from beyond what you call known space. Our people would welcome contact with yours." William smiled. "We would be honored. Earth welcomes peaceful contact with all free peoples." As the Unity changed course to meet these new beings, William thought about how much had changed in just 1 year. Earth had gone from a world preparing for defense to one reaching out across the stars, all because they had dared to say no to an empire. The declaration that had once seemed like dangerous defiance had become the foundation of a new galactic order, one built on freedom, cooperation, and respect for all worlds.